Scientists have been collecting data on wild animals and fish for years. From the observations of the early mountain men jotted down in old journals to today's helicopter surveys conducted to monitor trends in deer and elk populations. It's important information that can be critical for decision makers, whether it's a question of developing an area for a new park or determining whether a specific species should be listed as endangered. But it's always been a time-consuming process to track down this scattered data. That is until now.
This is the central clearinghouse for this type of information in Idaho, and in the 14 years we've been operating, we've established pretty well this clearinghouse role.
It's called the Conservation Data Center, and it's located at Fish and Game headquarters in Boise. In an office that reminds one of the subdued atmosphere of a library, people sit quietly, entering all kinds of information into a central database. Much of it pertains to rare species of animals and plants, and the habitats where they're found. It's the kind of information that used to be stacked into drawers like these, hard to retrieve and not necessarily cross-filed to every reference. Fisheries biologist Steve Yunt says that using the database to retrieve information for research has not only saved him countless hours, it's more accurate and virtually eliminates human error.
We can do it quickly, we can get information out, and we can do it with fewer people once the data files are built. With all of this endangered species stuff that we're being inundated with, it's going to save us a lot of time to be able to look at these questions electronically.
Idaho's bull trout have recently been listed under the Federal Endangered Species Act. A recovery plan for the fish is dependent upon the gathering and distribution of accurate information. Now, findings from field studies can be entered into the same data format, whether the research has been conducted by Fish and Game's own scientists or biologists associated with other agencies like the Forest Service or the Bureau of Reclamation. The results may be a map that looks like this.
The bright pink is where we have bull trout documented as present. The green are areas where we know we do not have bull trout. The blue here are areas that we suspect we have bull trout, but we haven't looked yet.
Bart Butterfield heads up the Geographic Information System, or GIS, unit at Fish and Game. These are the folks who take data supplied to them, such as the locations of bull trout populations, and build standardized maps reflecting the information.
One of the things that sets GIS off from other kinds of graphical packages is that all the data in it is geographically referenced. That means it has a latitude and longitude that tells you where it is. So you can bring in other information like land ownership or towns, any of those sorts of things, and the layover. You can use it right with these data layers.
Bart uses this map on lynx sightings in Idaho as an example of the layering.
Recently, the Canada lynx has been petitioned to be listed as a threatened and endangered species. So we've put together a database of all the historic lynx occurrences in the state of Idaho. These are observations of Canada lynx that we have put together anywhere from 1874 all the way to current years, and we categorize these, made a cutoff point of 1976. So everything in red is previous to 1976. All the blue dots are since 1976. And we can just quickly see if the range of Canada lynx in Idaho has changed in those two time periods.
Lynx sightings from 1874? Where does one find all this information? Well, one place to start would be here. This is a series of topographic maps that covers the whole state of Idaho. For years, long before the advent of tools like GIS, scientists like Bob Mosley have been marking the occurrences of rare species of plants and animals on these maps.
The orange dots here represent different populations of fish. We have some red dots here that indicate wildlife species, in this case flammulated owl and a bald eagle. These fish here are bull trout and sturgeon. There's also some rare plant species.
Some of this data has been transferred to GIS, but it's an enormous task. There's 1,800 maps like this just on Idaho, containing an incredible backlog of information. So for now, the Conservation Data Center continues to enter historic information as time allows, but much of the day is spent responding to requests from others.
We distribute information to, of course, all the big land managing agencies, the federal land managing agencies in Idaho. We also have quite a few consultants that are working for county planners to all the way up to Air Force contractors that would come to us for information.
And academic researchers, wildlife and fisheries biologists, botanists, and even requests from other countries. With a standardized data center, all these entities can be served. And ultimately, that serves us by helping to preserve and to protect Idaho's wildlife and wild places.
If we can bring all that together into an information system that's standard across the state, that's going to save our biologists a lot of time. It's going to save private individuals a lot of time trying to get the information they need. I think it's going to help management of fish and wildlife a lot.